Sup guys, so I made it to level 50 and I wanted to share a few things I learned along the way. 50 is not the max level, but it is the last time you'll get a special point. That equals out to a total of 49 points earned. Each skill maxes out at 15 points, meaning you need to put 14 points since they all start out at 1. Once you hit level 25, you can respec your points at the punch card machine. You also get your first legendary perk at level 50, with later ones coming in at 75, 100, 150, 200, last one at 300. It took me about 40 hours over the last 2 weeks to get to 50, and that was just us messing around, so if you really wanted to, you could get to 50 way faster. Alright, so inventory management. I wanted to hit this first since it impacted me the most as a hoarder. As you know, weight can add up real fast and you can find yourself over encumbered very often. Just like real survival, ounces add to pounds and pounds add to pain. So how do we fix this? The simple answer is pay to win. If you buy the membership, you can get a scrap box that lets you put all your scraps in it with no weight limit. When I turned 50, I got the free month membership from the Xbox Game Pass, and I put all my scraps in this box and immediately lost 500 pounds. With the membership, you also get 1,600 atom points per month. You could get carry weight boosters in the utility part of the atomic shop, but I would not waste my points like that. You do get different free stuff there daily, even without the membership, so I'd suggest you check in there every time you log on. So what is their realistic answer? Outside of perk cards, the answer is plastic. Yes, plastic. Seems like that's the real gold of this apocalypse. In the Tinker's Workbench, there's a bulk tab. In here, you can use plastic with whatever other scrap items you have and put them in the tiny little boxes that weigh less. See here, you could even bulk plastic with plastic. This has been the most helpful thing outside of perk cards to manage the weight for me. But where do we get plastic? As far as I've seen, the best places to find plastic are toy shops and school cafeterias. I saw a video by DTD Gamer where he goes over a few places that can net you a lot of plastic, so I recommend you go look at his plastic farming video if you want a more in-depth look at those places. While we're in the topic of finding things, let me show you how to mark components so that you can see if an item has what you're looking for. In any workbench, you can see what components you need to build something in the available recipes list. If an item is grayed out, it means that you're missing that. Most gray items can be marked. This helmet needs an Assaultron circuit board, and you can mark it by hitting the tag for search button, and it will mark it with a little magnifying glass. You can also tag for search in the junk section of your Pip-Boy. Go to component view, and in here you'll get a list of the components you have picked up in this play session. Here, just highlight the item you want and click the tag for search button. And again, the magnifying glass will show. Like I said, this list only shows the items you've picked up in this session, so if it's empty, just pick up whatever scrap you want and then it'll show up on that list. While we're still in the workbench, let me show you how to fix your gear. At first, we thought that the only way to fix things was with the repair kits, but then it turned out that we missed a button next to the repair kits. Here you could see my weapon has like almost no health left on it. And if you go to the inspect and repairs, you see the repair kits, and next to it there's the workbench repairs. Just hit that button and it'll show you a list of the components that it'll take to fix. Just hit fix and your items are back to full health. Next, let's talk about food and drinks. They work the same as other Fallout games, some fill hunger more than others, and so on. You can farm for vegetables and fruit in your camp. Easiest way to get them is to visit farms and get at least one of each crop. I have 4 to 8 of each and slowly plant them as a harvest, but all you really need is corn. I got all of mine from Anchor Farm, north of Vault 76. To plant crops, you need fertilizer. And to get fertilizer, you need to let your food spoil. Then in a chemistry station, under the smelting tab, you can make fertilizer. You can also find bags of fertilizers in places with farms and gardens. Now let's make some corn soup. For most soups, you will need boiled water, and to get boiled water, you need dirty water. The fastest way I have found is by drinking and then spamming the collect button really fast. It'll give you radiation even if you have maxed out the lead belly perk. I got a bit of radiation from that, but it was worth it for the time it saves. I already had some in my inventory, but I probably got about 15 out of that one try. Now let's boil this dirty water so we can make the soup. In the drinks tab, you make the boiled water from the dirty water. You also need some wood for it. And then under food, you'll find the soup. You can drink the boiled water, it'll give you a few rads, or get purified water for no rads. The good alternative to water is Nuka-Cola, which brings me to the best place where you could sell your things. A few miles southeast of Vault 76, you will find the Whitespring Resort. Here you can find just about anything you need. This is also where I bought the plants for that water pump. If you already discovered this area, you can just teleport to the place. I'll fast travel to the exterior just so you could see the entrance. If you ever come here and the NPC are down to their underwear, you'll need to log out to the main screen and log back in, or else you won't be able to interact or loot anything. There's tons of really good stuff around to loot, so if you're an honorary hoarder, I would take my time and just loot everything that's not nailed down. You can even see here this alarm clock is marked for a component I need. To buy Nuka-Cola, make your way to the right side, past the bar and the infirmary.
Can't believe we've got a bird. That's a step up in the world if I've ever seen one.
Once you reach this room, turn to the left and back here you'll find bubbles. I like to use the Nuka-Cola as my main drink because they give you health and action points, as well as other effects that some of the other ones give. The grape one even gives you negative 400 rads. There's also a stash box right here, so you could potentially just sell all your things to Bubbles. The guy next to Bubbles sells stamps, but I haven't gotten much into it, so I'm not sure how that works. Alright, so let's go back to the entrance so we could get to the mall area. Bubbles is nice to sell to, but this down here is definitely the best place to go. From this section, you would turn right and go down the hallway. But if you use the map from out here, you could teleport directly inside, and the vendor that I want to show you is much closer. So down this hallway, there'll be vendors on both sides, and they all sell different things. You can sell your stuff to any of them, but each one has different plans and recipes and things they sell. There's even one that sells bulk items like ballistic fibers that you'll need at level 50. I strongly suggest getting the perk card Hard Bargain, that way you can get more money from your sales with the vendors. Again, all these vendors are nice to sell to, but the real spot that I want to show you is the Artisan's Corner. Here, not only can you sell your items, but they have every single crafting bench, and they also have access to your stash box and your scrap box. Honestly, I prefer to come here first when I'm back from missions before I even go to my own camp. Here's the stash box, and back here's the scrap box. They even have a punch card machine here. And again, the vendor is right here really close to your stash box, so you don't really gotta go far. So yeah, definitely come to this spot if you need to sell things quick or just don't have the boxes at your own camp. Not only do you have access to all this, and I barely just learned this after I turned to level 50, you have a legendary exchange right here where you could sell all your legendaries. Before I even knew about this box here, we just kept going back to the rusty pick because that was the first spot we learned about the legendary exchange. Though that is still the same place where you can buy legendaries. So yeah, you can sell legendaries to get the legendary scripts, and then with the scripts you can buy more legendaries. So let's go to the rusty pick just so you could see where it's at. From Whitesprings, it's gonna be to the west. I don't know if you need to find this place first before you're allowed to sell your legendaries, but just in case, I'll teleport to the exterior so you can see what the area looks like. Just go in through this front red door. Once inside, on the right side, you have your stash box right here, and the legendary exchange where you could sell your stuff. There's also some workbenches down that hall. So to buy the legendaries, you come to this vendor here, and you can buy the legendaries based on how many stars they have. Obviously, the more stars, the more expensive. I did buy a few 3-star ranged weapons, and they were all pretty fun looking. But at the time, I didn't have the membership, so I didn't have the scrap box to carry all my stuff, and they were taking way too much room in my inventory. So I ended up just selling them. This also brings me to my next point. There are other places where they have legendary exchanges, and it's usually in train stations. So the reason I wanted to point out the exchanges at these stations is because if you're ever needing to drop off a legendary real quick, then you know where to find them. That way you don't need to go back to Whitesprings or the Rusty Pick to sell them. Most of them also have workbenches inside if you need to scrap stuff. And they will also have a stash box. And one of the nicest things about 76 is that you could respec pretty much anywhere. This particular train station brings us to my next point and things that'll help you carry the wasteland on your back. And that is deep pockets. In here you can buy the deep pocket plans for any of the armor sets. With all the money you made selling your junk to the vendors, I'd suggest picking out at least the full set for your favorite armor. Sell any food you don't need, sell the chems you don't use, but as soon as you can make deep pocket armor, you'll have a huge advantage. And if you have your hard bargain maxed out, you'll get them even cheaper. Without hard bargain, I think each one costs about 1,300. My friends and I got lucky at level 5, and this nice level 300 plus dude made us a full set of leather with deep pockets. At the time of recording this, I'm level 51, and I'm still using that leather. By all definitions, the fact that this armor got me this far, it definitely has earned the right to be called legendary. Once I'm able to make a full level 50 set, I'll pass down this mighty set to a low level that needs it. Next, I want to talk about another thing that'll help you whenever you're over in Convert. So we actually have access to 2 different camps and are able to buy extra slots for other camps. Of course, those cost real money. But if you activate this second camp, it won't affect your first camp. Once you have it activated, you could place it down the same way you would the other camp. Just find a good place to drop it and pay the transport fee if you've already placed it down once before. Make sure it says Camp 2 or whatever you've named it to. And then if you've already built a structure on it, you could just place down the entire structure. I'd suggest building a quick little base like this just so that you could place it down anywhere. It'd probably benefit more if it was smaller than mine. Also, if you paid for the membership, you can place down a tiny little camp. But the reason you want to put it in a platform like this is so that it builds it, unlike this water pump that is separate. If you place all your crafting tables on the floor, you'll have to place every single one individually. But as you can see up here, I have all the basic workbenches and a stash box and a scrap box and turrets because they do defend the area that you're in. So this next point is less about your inventory and more about your screen. As you run around, you're just gonna pick up quests everywhere. Like everyone and their mother is gonna want you to do something for them. So to clean up your screen, just go to the data section of your Pip-Boy and go to your quests. Then just unmark all of them and just focus on the ones that you're trying to finish. There you go, now your whole screen looks clean. The last thing that I wanted to talk about as far as inventory management was what not to scrap. The main reason that I even wanted to make this video was because while playing, I had a lot of questions, and every time I looked something up, I could not find a definite answer. And this what not to scrap has definitely been something I looked everywhere and I couldn't find anything to help me. So I just want to point out from what I've seen what junk you don't want to scrap. So some of these items I'm just keeping because I want to make a collection of sorts. But potentially any item that looks homemade or that looks like you won't be able to get anywhere else is usually something you don't want to scrap. Like these circuit boards, you use them to build certain armor and helmets and whatnots, and you also need them for missions. And certain NPCs just ask you for random things. But you also need to be careful because if you have these in your scrap box, whenever you're crafting something, if there's an item that is made from that, it'll use it up in your crafting. So what I do to keep them from getting used up is put them into these display cases. All you really need to do is just go to the item you want, and you could either hit the assign button or you could take it out of your inventory and then put it back in, and it'll show it up in the display. And just like that, you've protected the item. The broken cameras, you'll also need one of them for the daily missions. So I suggest as soon as you find one, just go to your Tinker's box and just make a real camera in the camera tab. So yeah, I just put all the things that I deem important in the apocalypse into these boxes, especially toilet paper. I wanted to also talk about leveling and perk cards, but this video is already long enough as it is, so I'll probably leave that for a later time. I will just mention on here that as far as inventory management and weight, there's 3 perks that fall under strength, and you'll need a total of level 9 to hold them all. And they are Pack Rat, Strong Back, and Sturdy Frame. Pack Rat reduces the weight of junk, Sturdy Frame reduces the weight of armor, and Strong Back just lets you carry more. That one you need to wait till level 26 before you can unlock it. Right, to the 3 of you that made it this far into the video, thank you so much for watching. And let me know what you thought about all this, and if you found anything that I didn't cover on here. This definitely feels like a brand new game from when it first launched, and back then I didn't even give it a chance. So if you haven't got back into it, I completely suggest you do. There's tons of stuff to do. Again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.